We are now live. Instagram is now live. We're going to make sure Facebook is on. Facebook is now live. Then we're going to make sure Periscope is on. Periscope is now live. We're live in 3 places at the exact same time. Shout out to technology. As y'all are checking in, y'all know what to do. Let's make sure this is actually working here before I keep talking. All right, it is working. I'm seeing people come in. So as y'all checking in, y'all know what to do. Shout yourself out in the comments section. We're going to get into what we need to get into here today, as we do every single day. So as y'all checking in, hope everybody had a great weekend and a great start to this new week. We are almost exactly halfway through the month of September, ladies and gentlemen. We clocking in on the last quarter of the year. So I hope everybody's focused, everybody's locked in, doing what you got to do, paying attention to what you need to pay attention to. If you're not, then stay tuned right here, because I'm going to help you with that. So as y'all are coming in, I got Periscope here on my far left, I got Facebook in the center, and I got Instagram on my right. So as y'all checking in, leave a comment, shout yourself out, and let's get into it. Mozart Gates checked in, was good. Just checking in from Brooklyn. As y'all coming in, Periscope, y'all comments, did they disappear? Oh, they disappear unless I tap the screen. So as y'all coming in on Periscope, please tap the screen, get the 500 hearts. They still do that on Periscope. I just started doing Periscope again the last couple of days. So as y'all coming in, tap the screen. IG, y'all can tap the screen as well. We got 15, Maras, Ryan from Virginia. As y'all are coming in, again, we're going to get started now. I ain't even waiting no more. Any of those of you who don't know me, and those of you who do, allow me to reintroduce or introduce myself. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete and author of 27 books. I've done 4 TED Talks. I created this whole philosophy, this whole brand that is called Work on Your Game. It's all about taking the mentality of a professional athlete and teaching you how those same mental tools apply to business and life. And we'll talk about these publications. One of my books is called Work on Your Game. We'll talk about that as we get later on into this conversation. But today's topic is why you are not being who you want to be. Why are you not being the person that you want to be in life? Some of you who are listening to this right now, maybe you are aware that you're not being the person you want to be. Some of you are not being the person that you could be. You're not even aware of the situation. But I'm going to help clear all that up here today. This is actually a 2-part conversation, because there are so many reasons that I laid out for why this happens with people that I had to break it up into 2 conversations. So I'm going to give you part 1 today. And if people like this, if y'all respond to this favorably, then I'll do part 2 tomorrow. But if y'all don't really respond to this, then I'll forget it and we'll move on to something else. But either way, I'll tell you where this conversation came from, this topic came from. I was in the elevator in my building. I live in Miami, Florida. I'm from Philly, but I live in Miami. And I was in the elevator in my building. I had this book in my hand, which is my book, Work on Your Game, which I'll tell you about later. I had this book in my hand, and the guy this guy in the elevator saw me holding the book. And he was asking, what's that book? And I told him it was mine, and gave him a little 5-second synopsis of who I was and what the book was about. And he was like, man, I want to write a book. He just got that empty look in his eyes, like looking out into the future. Man, I want to write a book. I've always wanted to write a book. He was a little bit older than me, probably a generation or 2 older than me. And then he was like, the last thing he said before he got off the elevator, he's like, man, you're living the dream that you wrote a book. And it was funny to me that he said that, because writing a book is something that anybody can actually do. Self-publishing is a thing now. This book is not self-published, but anybody could actually write a book and put the book out if they want to do it. But a lot of people don't do it. And there are many reasons that people don't do the things they want to do, whether it's being a musician, trying to be an athlete, writing a book, starting a YouTube channel, being an Instagram model, whatever it is you want to do. A lot of people are not doing those things and not being the type of person that they could be for several reasons here today. And when he said that to me, I remembered what he said, and I went and started writing out notes for what you're about to hear right now, because I don't think that man is the only person in the world who sees other people doing something that he could do, but for whatever reason, he just ain't doing it. I don't think he's the only person in the world. Now, he was talking about writing books, but again, anyone who's listening to me right now, you could be talking about any other topic. But let's get into why these things actually happen. Today, I'm going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to give you the top 4 reasons, or 4 reasons why you're not being who you want to be. And then tomorrow, again, if y'all respond to this, I'll give you 4 more. Number 1 reason, and these are not in any particular order, so all of these you should take with equal weight. Number 1 reason you are not being who you could be in life, even though you know it's true, even though you're not true, even though you know it's possible, even though you think about it, even though you write it down, even though you know of people who are standing right next to you in the elevator who have done it, you can easily just ask them, hey, how do I do that? You can go on Google and ask, How do I do that? And 1,000 people will give you an answer, because there's 1,000 different videos, articles, Quora answers telling you how to do these things. The reason why you're not being that person is because you cannot see yourself being it. You don't see it as realistic for you. What stops most would-be artists or singers or rappers or basketball players or self-published authors or podcasters or YouTubers or professional speakers or fill in the blank with whatever it is you want to do, what stops most of them from actually becoming real life fill in the blank is not that they can't, it's not that they don't have the information, it is not that somebody's holding them back, it is not because they are being oppressed, it's not because their race or religion does not have privilege, it is not because it's not any other bullshit reason that people give for not doing what they want to do in life. The main reason people don't do what they want to do, you could actually weigh this as the number one reason over everything else, is that they don't see it as realistic for them. This is what stops people. That guy that I saw in the elevator, he could have easily asked me, hey, how do you write a book? How do you actually put a book together and create it and have a book in your hands that you can hand to somebody and say, hey, I wrote this, read this book? He could have easily asked me that. Now, I couldn't have given him the whole thing in the time it took to ride up the elevator, but I could have said to him, look, come to my live stream on Facebook and I'm gonna talk about it and you can get all the information. Or I could have said to him, look, pay me X number of dollars and I'll sit down with you for an hour and I'll give you a whole strategy session on everything you need to do, from concept to having a finished book in your hand that you can hand to somebody and put on your coffee table. He could have asked me. He didn't ask me. You know what he said? He said, I wish I could write a book. Man, you're living a dream. And then he got off the elevator. Why did he see it as a dream? I don't understand why he saw that as a dream. It's because, and I realized why when I thought about it a little bit more, and why so many of you who are listening to me right now, there are certain things you want to do in life, you are not doing them, you see them as a dream, something that's just floating through the air that you can never catch, like a cloud up in the sky, because you don't see it as realistic for you, even though you know it's a real thing because you know of people who have done it. Even if you don't know a person who did it, you know of people who've done it. You see them on TV, you see them on the internet, you see them writing in a blog post, you hear people talking about them, you know somebody who knows them, but you just don't see it as realistic for you, even though you know it's a realistic thing. It's a real thing that exists. As the saying goes, everybody here has heard it, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. If you can believe it, you can be it. If you can dream it, you can see it, or whatever it is they want to call it. Many people simply can't believe it, thus they can't be it, they can't touch it, they can't do it, they can't achieve it. And then in the long run of life, they just don't, because they don't see things as possible for them. This is the biggest problem that most people have in life. How do you fix this? Well, you got to step up your level of belief. Of course, you already know that, right? But you must fight your practicality with more practicality, which is, how do I actually make it work? All right, stepping up your level of belief. I got a TED Talk on this exact topic. Y'all can go listen to my TED Talk by going to toomuchconfidence.com. I got 2 TED Talks on confidence. Toomuchconfidence.com is where you can see both of those. And the reason why people have this challenge, again, not being able to see it as real for them, is because of reality, that realism, that being realistic, quote unquote, that a lot of people carry through their lives is actually not realistic at all. The realistic that most people talk about is a self-limiting mindset. When most people say be realistic, what are they saying? They're saying take your ambitions from up here and lower them to down here. That's what most people do when they say, I'm going to be realistic. They go from here to here. I never hear anybody say, you know what? I want to make $150,000 this year, but you know, I'm going to be realistic. Let me go for $250,000. I never hear anybody raise their expectations when they become realistic. Everybody always lowers their expectations when they say realistic. Reality is holding most of you back. And I got masterclasses on how to fix that. But let's move on to point number 2. Today's topic is why you are not being who you could be. Second reason is what we call a limited world view. What that means is you are not able to see past your nose, as one of my favorite authors, Robert Greene, says. What that means is you are looking at your current situation, your current space in life, your current station in life, where you're at, and you cannot possibly see yourself going anywhere other than where you are right now, being anyone other than who you are, having anything other than what you have, except maybe a small marginal increase. In other words, you look at your family, you look at your friends, you look at your environment, you look at where you are now, you say, maybe I can do a little bit better than this, but you don't allow yourself, keyword, allow yourself to see yourself being any better or going any further than where you are right now. Why? Because you just have a limited view of what's possible for you. This is reality holding you back. I'll give y'all a quick story that gives you a great example of this. When I was turning 16 years old, now I'm from the state of Pennsylvania, and the legal driving age in the state of Pennsylvania, at least at that time, was age 16. I guess it's still 16. Now my birthday's coming up, and my mom calls me into my parents' bedroom, and she says, "Son, what do you want for your birthday?" I said, "I want a car." Now, I knew it was probably not going to happen and I was going to get a car. I knew it was a very, very small chance my parents were actually going to get me a car for my birthday and then actually let me drive it. Now, getting the car is one thing, letting me drive it is a whole other step. I knew it probably wasn't going to happen, but I'm like, shit, they asked me what I want for my birthday, that's what I want. So at least my thought was, at least let them say no, and then I'll go and get something else. I'll go say I want something else, but let me ask for the thing that I actually want, was I want a car. So I say to my mom, I want a car. And my mom gives me this look that says, and some of you may know this look was like 50% disappointment and 50% being annoyed. She was like half disappointed and half annoyed. The reason why she was disappointed is because my mom already had it in her mind that she could not get me a car. Keyword, could not get me a car. She did not have the means. It wasn't impossible for her to get me a car, or my parents to get me a car. And the annoyed part, the other 50%, was she was annoyed with me for even asking for a car, because that would require her to say no and not be able to give her son what he said he wanted for his birthday. She didn't want to have to tell me, no, I can't get you the thing that you wanted. She wanted me to ask for something that she could fulfill so that she could feel happy. So she was annoyed with me for asking, and she was disappointed because she had already fixed in her mind that she couldn't get me a car. So this is what my mom says to me. She gave me the look, and the look was like 3 seconds, right? And then she says, "We can't afford that." And then I don't know what I ended up asking for. Whatever it was, I don't remember. So whatever I got for my 16th birthday, it was not memorable enough for me to even remember it for this story. But I do remember what I didn't get, which was a car. Now let me tell you let me tell you what's interesting about that. Because you might be thinking to yourself, well, Dre, it's not that crazy. I mean, you asked your parents for a car, they couldn't afford a car. Why is that such a big deal? Here's why it's a big deal. How much is a car? I'll wait. How much does a car cost? Does anybody know? Is there a price? Is there a set price for a car? Last time I checked, cars come in all different prices. There are brand new cars you could buy. You could pay $500,000 for a car. You can get a used car for $300 out of somebody's backyard. You get a smart car for $12,000. You get a Nissan for $25,000. You get a Mercedes for $50,000. You get a Range Rover for $100,000. How much does a car cost? We don't know. Cars come in different prices. Depends on what kind of car. Depends on the age of the car. Depends on the state of the car. Is it a used car, a beat up car? What's the situation, right? We don't know. So when my mom said, we can't afford that, I said, I want a car. She said, we can't afford that. She didn't ask me any other questions. She didn't say, what kind of car? She didn't say, did you do any research? She didn't say, have you saved up any money? She didn't say, no, have you looked into, what kind of cars are out there in the used market? She didn't say, do you know somebody who's selling one? She didn't ask me any of those questions. She just straight up shut it down by saying, we can't afford that. Now, what if I wanted a $300 car that somebody was selling and classified as in a newspaper? Could my parents have afforded that? I think so. Now, if I was asking for a $30,000, Honda, brand new Honda, could they have gotten that? Probably not. But she didn't even ask the question. And I'm using that example not to trash my mom, but to give all of you an example of something that many of you do to yourselves every single day. You say you can't do something without even knowing what the thing is that you're saying you can't do. You don't even know what it is. It's like my mom saying we can't afford a car when cars range anywhere. I've seen people sell cars for $300. I've seen people sell cars for $3 million. You don't even ask yourself which one, but you say I can't. No, I can't do that. That's impossible. Not realistic. Think of something else. We can't do that. This is what happens to people all day, every day. Most of us in life, we get our worldviews growing up from the adults that raise us. And the adults that raise us, if they have limited worldviews, and you'll know how limited somebody's worldview is by looking at their life, looking at the things they do, looking at the things that they try, look at the way that they talk, and listen to the way that they think. They will tell you what their worldview is. So when somebody says something like, we can't afford a car without asking the price of the car, they are telling you to have a limited worldview. And if that person happens to be your parent, then you probably have a limited worldview because they raised you. So until you recognize that you are getting a limited worldview from the people around you, your worldview will be just as limited, even though you will be completely ignorant to the fact that you're not even seeing everything that's out there in the world. And this happens to a lot of very well-meaning people. My mom she wasn't a hater. She wasn't trying to make me a failure. This is just the way that she thought, so she could only teach what she knew. So you got to be careful who you're learning from, who's giving you information, because it might be a person who's trying to help you, but they can only help you by giving you what they have. All right. So if you don't have anything, you can't give anything. And if what you have is only this much, you can't give this much. That is impossible. It's against the laws of physics. You can only give what you got. So being that you're shaped by the adults around you, your parents, your older siblings, your teachers, your coaches, your religious leaders, if they have a limited worldview, you will have a limited worldview. And I know this can be, when you really think about this, if any of you really examine who raised you and what did you learn from those people, it can be really fucked up when you realize, like, damn, my parents had this very small, tiny view of the world, and now I got this small, tiny view of the world, and now I'm 35, and I'm just now realizing it. Better late than never. All right, but I am going to put it out to you. That is exactly what happens to a whole lot of people. You must expose yourself to outside influences that are different from what you grew up around, unless you grew up around people who are like, I see, they see everything, they look at the possibilities and everything, they have their mind wide open to being able to just entertain the idea of something other than what they have. A lot of people in life look at where they are, they say, I could do a little bit better than this, and that's basically their ceiling. Just a little bit better than where they are right now. The problem is, the only way you're ever going to get to those exponential levels of success that you see in whoever are the people it is that you look up to, you got to see yourself as being 1,000 times better than where you are right now, and know that it's possible for you to do it. But if you don't see it as a possibility, you will never do it. And this is another main thing holding a lot of people back. Number 3 reason that you are not being the person who you could be in life is because risk aversion. This is the 3rd reason. You are afraid of anything that you see as risk. Now, risk is a relative term. What that means is, everybody knows what risk is, right? It's a chance that you try something and you end up losing. You put in time and you fail. You put in money and you lose the money. You put in effort and it doesn't produce a result. Everybody knows what risk is, but risk is a relative term because some people look at trying something. Let's say somebody looks at, let's invest $100 in something. Some people might say investing $100 is nothing. If I lose it, I get a learning experience. I can laugh about it. I can tell a joke and tell a story. Some people say if I lose $100, I'll be like, my life is over because I can't buy groceries this week. So risk is a relative term, but a lot of people who are listening to me right now, you are not being the person that you want to be because you see certain things as risk, and because you are afraid of risk, you are unwilling to even try. Therefore, you never even find out what's possible for you, because you don't want to even try. These are the athletes who say to me, Dre, I want to try out for the basketball team next season, but I don't want to try out. I don't want to spend a whole year working on my game, then try out and it doesn't work out. I don't want to waste time trying out and then I don't get the result. Well, you are afraid of the risk of trying and failing. Therefore, you will never try. And then, so therefore you can't achieve, or you will halfway try. So you'll be like kind of sort of trying, but not really. And then when you fail, you are like, oh man, I knew I was going to fail all along. No, you set yourself up to fail all along. You didn't know you were going to fail. You set yourself up to fail by half-assing it from the beginning. A lot of people in life, this is what they do. Afraid of any outcome that's not going to produce a result. This is what most people do. They only do what they think they're capable of. They only do what they can see for themselves. And since most people, I already told you, have this very small, tiny, limited worldview, they only try things that are marginally above where they are, and then they actually achieve it. And then they wake up one day, 65 years old, and they're like, damn, I only tried things that are a little bit better than where I was. Is this it? Is this all that I get in life? Because they never tried to go any further than what they thought they were capable of. And by the time they realized that maybe they should have did something different, it might be a little bit too late. Or too late for them. Again, that's another relative term. Risk aversion. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand something. All right, the only thing in life that is guaranteed is that you're going to die. All right, they used to say death and taxes, but even this year, they pushed taxes back like 5 months, right, because of COVID. So the only thing guaranteed is that death. Death is guaranteed. All right, maybe even taxes you can put off if you use COVID as an excuse. COVID may never go away. You might never have to pay again. But everybody's going to die. Everything else, less than that, anything less than that can be a story. It can be a learning experience. It can be a way, even if you put up some money that you can't afford to put up and you lose the money. Because I'm using money as an example because many people have these very negative emotional attachments to money. So let's say you put up some money, you lose that money, or you risked the money and you lost it. Now you are forced to come up with something. You're forced to come up with some new ideas. You're forced to challenge your ingenuity. Why? Because you just lost that money and you got to get that money back. Now you got to pay the bills. Now you got to eat food. Now you got to pay back the person that you owe. Now you got to pay rent. Now you got to pay your car situation. Now you got to pay off your credit card bill. And now you need to get that $100 back. You'll figure out a way to do it because you're challenging your brain to think. When you challenge your brain to think, it will do miraculous things. A lot of people are afraid of risk. And what stops them from achieving is not their fear, is the achievement of a lower level attempt, simply because they're afraid of trying anything in which they may set themselves up to what they consider to be failing or coming up short or not getting a certain outcome or not doing as well as another person. This stops a whole lot of people from even trying in life. No, it doesn't make them fail. It stops a whole lot of people from even trying. A lot of people say, oh, they don't want to start a business because they want to make sure that they have a steady paycheck. I talk to people all the time and say, I want to start a business, but I got to make sure I have a steady paycheck before I start my business. And listen, you're not guaranteed a steady paycheck even if you got a job. Now, is anybody listening to this who lost their job because of COVID or you lost some hours because of COVID? Nothing is guaranteed in life, as I already said. A player will say something like, I remember years ago when I was making basketball videos all the time, Derrick Rose was a really popular player. Y'all remember that? And when Derrick Rose got injured, he had tore his ACL. A bunch of players started writing me and saying, Dre, I love playing basketball and I like playing I want to play like Derrick Rose, but I don't want to tear my knee up the way Derrick Rose did. How can I avoid getting injured? Now I don't want to get injured playing basketball. And then Derrick Rose was even saying stuff like that. I don't want to get injured and not be able to take care of my kids later on in life, or something crazy he was saying. I considered it crazy. But anyway, and players started asking me, how can they avoid injury? And I said, the only way you can avoid injury from basketball is to not play basketball. The only way you can avoid having a bad situation in a relationship is to not get in a relationship. The only way you can avoid having a jerk and co-workers at a job is to never get a job. The only way you can avoid never having to fire an employee is to never hire an employee. Are there anything that you get into in life, there is a time where something's not going to work, something is going to fail, you are going to come up short, you will have invested time, money, attention, energy, focus, and you will end up losing. And whatever you consider to be losing is just not going to work out. But if you're afraid of the risk of even trying, you will never try. It is much better to try something and fail than to always be wondering what if. What I tell people is you want to make errors of commission, not errors of omission. Y'all know what commission is. Commission means you commit to something. That's why it's called commission. Commit. You are in. I'm going to do this. It will work or it won't work, but I'm going to do it. Omission means you omit. What does omit mean? It means to not do, to not participate, to not partake. The challenge with errors of omission is that you will be spending the whole rest of your life wondering what if. You will have the regret of what you could have did, what you should have did, what you would have did, but you will never know because you didn't try and the opportunity is gone. Error of commission means you did something and you have even if you fail, you have a regret of commission, meaning a regret of what you did do. I did this, I said this, I tried this, I dated that person, I did this business. It didn't work out, but you know what? I'm glad that I did it because now I know, now I have a story, now I have experience, now I have activity knowledge. Most people who are listening to me right now, every regret you have, I know, 99% of your regrets are things that you didn't do. Guaranteed. I don't even have to know who you are. 99% of your regrets are things that you thought about, you knew about, you had an opportunity, but you didn't do anything. And the things that you did do, that you do regret, like, damn, maybe I said too much. Maybe I shouldn't have tried that. Maybe I shouldn't have put that money in. Maybe I shouldn't have made that move or taken that action. You can look back on it and say, yeah, I shouldn't have did that, but you can laugh about it. You can smile about it. You're proud of yourself because at least you know you tried. And the last thing you want is to be 95 years old, laying on your deathbed, thinking to yourself, damn, what if I would have did that? What if I would have tried that? What if I would have gave that a shot? And you'll never know. And you will never have that information ever, ever, ever because you blew it thinking about what to do. At the end of your life, you will never say, I'm glad I stayed away from so many things. At the end of your life, you will say, I'm glad I did things. You will not be thinking about the things, well, you will be thinking about the things that you didn't do, only in a form of regret and wondering what could have been had you lived your life differently. Point number 4, last one. Today's topic is why you are not being the person who you could be. Lack of self-awareness. What this means is you don't even know who the hell you are. So no wonder you're not being the person that you could be. This is the person who thinks they want to do one thing, but that's not really who they are. They've just been conditioned either by themselves or by the media or by society or by their family to think that this is the person that they need to be just because that idea was planted in them all their lives. So this is the person who, any of you ever see some kid who's tall, as a young kid, he's tall. everywhere he goes, everybody's like, man, you should play basketball. You should be on the basketball team, man. You should play for the Knicks. You can play for the Houston Rockets, man. You should be a basketball player. Everywhere he goes, everybody tells him he should be tall. Even his own family tells this. They think he's going to be the savior of the family because he's going to make it to the NBA and make $100 million. And now he goes and tries to become a basketball player, even though he don't even like basketball. He's not even into basketball like that, but he's playing because he's tall, and everywhere he goes, everybody's telling him he should play basketball. Listen, some of these guys become pros. Believe it or not, there are some basketball players in the NBA right now who don't even like basketball. Most of those guys are really tall. They're so tall that the opportunities just land at their feet. I'm not talking about the players like 6'2", 6'3". Those players can go do whatever. All right, 6'2", 6'3", nobody's going to stop you in the street and say, do you play basketball? Now, if you're 7 feet, that's a whole different thing. Or somebody who thinks, people from different cultures, in certain cultures, you get steered by the culture and the people around you to go into a certain industry. So, for example, you got the I'm not even going to say certain cultures, but some of y'all know what I'm talking about, depending on where you're from. I hear people from certain countries, they say, well, my parents want me to be an engineer, or they want me to be a doctor, or they want me to be a lawyer, or they want me to be an accountant because of the culture, and that's what everybody there does. So you've been conditioned all of your life, I'm going to go into this. Or maybe if one of your parents is something, you think you got to become a dentist, or you got to become an author, or you got to be an athlete because your dad was. Because you've been steered into this and it's been conditioning you your whole life, and nobody you trusted ever sat you down and said, listen, yes, that's what they did, or that's what everybody else does. You don't have to do that. You could be whoever you want to be. You need to figure out who you are in life and not try to be everybody else. If you never have anybody tell you that, your lack of self-awareness may delude you into thinking that you are self-aware. You might think, oh, well, yeah, I'm supposed to be a doctor because that's what everybody does. Am I from where I'm from? But that's not you. That's not who you are. You're like, oh, I'm supposed to be a basketball player because I'm 6'5", but that's not who you are. You might love being on computers. You just happen to be tall. Doesn't mean you got to go play in the NBA. Or just because your mom was a dentist or a school teacher doesn't mean you have to go do it. You did not have the self-awareness to realize this is not me. This is not who I actually need to be. And maybe nobody ever brought this to you. If nobody brings it to you, it's probably not just going to come to you out of the blue. But that's why somebody like me exists, to let you know. Just because somebody else did something or everybody around you does something does not mean you need to do it. This is the person who was a lawyer for 20 years. You get them drunk and they say, you know what, I never wanted to be a lawyer. It's just my parents forced me into being a lawyer because they said I need to get a good job and make a certain amount of money so it can look good on the family. You got to be willing to look at and accept what you see. Look in the mirror and accept what you see. If what you see in the mirror is not the life that you're living right now, then you know it. Nobody else will be able to tell you that, but you know when you look in the mirror and you're living a life that is not yours. You're living in an existence that was what your parents wanted you to do, or what the neighborhood wanted you to do, or what you think the culture, whatever the hell the culture is for you, whatever the culture wanted you to do. But if that's not who you are, it is your responsibility to get off the train that's going west, and get on the platform, get on the other side of the platform, and get on the train that's going east, because you realize that you are not being who you actually are. Understand that every human being is unique. Every fingerprint is unique. No two people are exactly the same. So if you find yourself living a life of other people just because they're your mom, your dad, they're the same race as you, same religion, same age, from the same neighborhood, you are completely unaware of who you actually are as a person. When you fix that, then you can do something different with your life. All that being said, I did the first 4 parts, so I need to know, as y'all leave comments, let me know, did you like this? Should I do part 2 tomorrow? If you like this, I'll do part 2 tomorrow, but I need to know, I need feedback from the audience. Should I do part 2 of this tomorrow? I gave you the first 4. I got 4 more. If you like these, I need to know in the comment section. So what I'm going to do right now while I wait for that, and any questions. Anybody got a question, go ahead and post it. I'll address all questions right now. I'm going to tell you about this book right here and how you can get it for free. Then I'm going to recap the points I just gave you, and then I'm going to answer all questions. So those of you who don't know, I've written 27 books. People would ask me, Dre, which book should I read first? Because I have so many. This is the one you read first. It is called The Mirror of Motivation. The subtitle is The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. Let me tell you why you want to read this book first. It's because in life, a lot of people have goals. Everybody who's listening to me right now, you have goals. You got things you wish to achieve. Probably a bunch of them. And at the same time, you understand, you listen to a guy who started a philosophy called work on your game. You understand you can't get something for nothing. You got to put some effort and time in to get a result. So you understand you got to have goals and you got to work hard. Most people ask those 2 questions and then they just start working. What do I want? What I got to do? And they just start working hard. For the next 60 years of their life, they just work hard and hope that it works out. Problem is, oftentimes it doesn't work out. Why? Because they never ask themselves a key question. Here's the key question. Who do I need to be? like we're talking about here today. Who do I need to be in life? This book, The Mirror of Motivation, will help you to look in the mirror and give you frameworks for how you ask and how you answer that question so that you know who you are as a person, not what your parents want you to be, not what the neighborhood wants you to be, not what your race expects you to be, but who you actually are as a person. So you can go out in the world, be that person, do the things you need to do, and get the results that you want to get in life, not what anybody else wants for you in life. And understand, when you change who you are being as a person, the energy with which you do things will alter the actions that you take and will alter the results that you get. So if you're looking for that, this book is already paid for. The book is free, as you heard me right. All you do is cover the shipping. You go to mirrorofmotivation.com. Let me say that again. Mirror of Motivation. It's the title of the book without the mirrorofmotivation.com. The book's paid for. You cover the shipping. You want to learn who you need to be, and this is a framework for you to look in the mirror. This is not a hype-up book. This is not me motivating you. This is me showing you the frameworks for you to do what you need to do for yourself so you can get what you want to get in life. After you do that, on the next page, I'm going to give you an offer to get my book, Work on Your Game. Hardcover book, 250 pages, my whole philosophy condensed down into one book. The best of my philosophy, rather, condensed down into one book. This will be on the next page after you claim your free copy of this. So when you claim your free copy, on the next page, we'll make your offer to get this and my book, The Mental Workbook. We'll tell you about that on that page when you get there. So anybody got a question or comment, go ahead and post it in the comment section, and I will get into it. Angela Brickley over there on Facebook said, this is excellent. You vote for part 2 tomorrow. All right, so that's one vote to do part 2 tomorrow. Thank you, Angela. Let's see what we got here in the comments section on IG. Or you got a jump shot, said the real hell begins when you meet the you that you could have been. That's right. A lot of people have said that. You got it right. Gabrielle said, support from Sweden. Shout out to Sweden. We worldwide out here. Jeff said, I started a business at 20. Everyone around me said, get a degree. I learned to trade instead. Funny thing is, none of those people offered advice ever ran a business. Well, I'm glad, Jeff, at age 20, you were self-aware enough to recognize that. Because a lot of people at 20 would not have been self-aware enough to understand that. So it takes some tough time in the beginning, but it's worth it if you stick with it every day. On top of the fact that you had some knowledge and some skills, Jeff. Let's make sure you add that part in too. So sometimes people say that, like, yeah, it's tough in the beginning, but stick with it and believe in yourself. Those things are all important. But Jeff, make sure when you tell people that part, that you also tell them that they got to have some skill and some talent, some abilities. All that matters too. We can't gloss over that. Ice Juro says the best things in life are usually the hardest. That's true. So not as hard as people make it out to be. Stay dedicated, put in the work daily, and have skill, Jeff. Don't forget the skills. That's why I was working on your game. Jeff said, you started my entrepreneurial journey 4 years ago. You messaged me. I asked you for some advice. You told me to come back to you, and my motivation is at a 10. That's what's up. That lit a fire under my ass. I appreciate you. Well, I appreciate you, Jeff. Congratulations on making that happen. Jeff, can you make me a testimonial video and upload it unlisted to YouTube and send it to me in a DM? We'll post that on the website. Pierre Kutani, what's good? K Knowles, what's up? Titus Rule said, I copped the book. Do you remember me? Well, Titus, not because I'm not trying to remember you, but we've sent so many books to so many people. I don't personally remember you directly. But that's only not because nothing wrong with you, but because we've been getting so many books into people's hands that I can't remember every single person who got a book. But tell me what you got out of the book, Titus Rules. That'll help me. Ice Juro says, how do you know who you should be if so much is deeply rooted from society? By looking in the mirror, Ice Juro. That's a great question. And I'm looking in the mirror of motivation. Ice, do you have this book? Mirrorofmotivation.com. The book is paid for. All you do is cover the shipping. That answers your question. Great question. I said sometimes the thing you think you want, but the culture wanted you to do it, and it would take a while to figure it out. All right, so we got some votes for part 2. Ice Juro, Mojo Fitness, Jeff Olden. All right, so we're doing part 2. Part 2 will come tomorrow. K-Van says, is it too late to go play college ball at 29? Not necessarily. It depends on your eligibility, what school you're trying to go to. Do you have transcripts? Is there a team who wants to sign you? All of those things factor into it. You can do the research on that, K-Van. The research is out there. Just go on Google. It'll give you more information than you need. So everybody, I'll tell y'all one more time, mirrorofmotivation.com. The book is already paid for. All you do is cover the shipping. And I'm just seeing if we got any PVNL over on Periscope. Appreciate you. All you do is cover the shipping, mirrorofmotivation.com. When you claim your free copy of this book, on the very next page, I'm going to make you an offer to get this book, my book, Work on Your Game, and my book, The Mental Workbook, which is the guidebook that'll help you write out your plan for who you need to be as a person that you're going to learn about in here. There's a guidebook for it called The Mental Workbook. It does that and a whole lot more. You get this and the Mental Workbook in a bundle. We call that the Mental Game Advanced Bundle on the very next page. All you got to worry about, all you got to remember, mirrorofmotivation.com. So everybody, I do these lives every single day. As it's been voted on by the people who did comment, I will be doing part 2 of this tomorrow. So I did the first 4 today. I'll do the next 4 tomorrow. I do these lives every day. The topic always different, but I guarantee you one thing, it's always going to be something that's going to make you think. It's always going to challenge you to get better. I'm always going to give it to you straight. I'm going to give you it real. You might not always agree with me, but I am going to tell you why I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm going to build an argument and build a case for it. That's the one thing that I promise you every single day, and you got to respect that. So Work on Your Game is the name of the brand. Mirrorofmotivation.com is the only link you need to remember, and we will be doing these lives again tomorrow. Everybody have a great day. Work on Your Game. We out of here. Dre all day.